You ever wonder why they want to see you crawl? Why they smirk when you stumble? Why they whisper behind your back when life's got its boot on your neck? It's simple, really. They need it. Their lives are so empty, so pathetically hollow. They need someone else's misery to make their own seem bearable. They don't hate you for what you did. They hate you for what you might do. See, it terrifies them. Your potential, the idea that you might get back up, that you might actually become something despite everything. So they laugh, they point, they shove, they hope you'll break. Because if you do, they don't have to face how broken they already are. But here's the real punchline. Every time they push you down, they're handing you a reason to rise higher. Every bit of spite, every fake smile, every knife in your back is just more fuel for the fire. You think God didn't see it all? You think he's blind to betrayal, to injustice, to the way they dragged your name through the dirt? No, he saw it. He let it happen because he's got something bigger in store, a stage they won't get to share. The higher he's planning to take you, the harder the climb's gotta be. And trust me, he's planning to take you high enough to make them choke on the dust. You ever notice how they act when you start doing better? How suddenly, the ones who couldn't spare a breath to check if you were alive come out of the woodwork with fake smiles and empty words. It's pathetic. See, people only care when they can take something. As long as you're bleeding, they're content to watch. But the second you start stitching yourself up, suddenly they're concerned. Suddenly they're experts on your life, telling you how to move, how to think, how to be. It's a circus, and they're the clowns, wearing masks so thick they forgot what their own faces look like. But you can't blame them, not really. It's human nature to hate what you can't control. They see you fighting battles they would have surrendered to, standing when they would have crawled, and it eats them alive. They need you to fail, because every step forward you take is a reminder of how deep they're buried. They thought they'd watch you die in the pit, but God pulled you out. And the fact that you're still breathing, that's already a victory. But you ain't finished, not by a long shot. The best revenge ain't proving them wrong. It's living so well, they can't pretend they don't see it. Look around. See all these people pretending they got it all together? It's all a front. Behind those grins and fancy clothes, they're more broken than you've ever been. They drown in distractions, liquor, lust, lies, because the silence is too loud. But you faced the silence. You wrestled with your demons, looked your pain in the eye, and didn't blink. That's strength, real strength, the kind they can't buy or fake. You survived what should have killed you, walked through hell with your head up, and came out with scars to prove it. Don't hide them. Wear them. Make them look. Every scar is a story. Every wound a reminder that pain didn't win. You want to make them pay? Make them watch. Make them see you rise. Make them realize they couldn't break you. That every time they tried, they just sharpened your edges. God's got a plan. and it doesn't end with you on your knees. Ever wonder why the betrayal came from the ones you trusted most? It's all part of the process. Sometimes God lets them turn on you, lets them show their true colors, not to destroy you, but to expose them. You were praying for protection, and He answered by cutting people out you were too blind to walk away from. Pain has a purpose. Betrayal is just part of the plan. See, you can't build a throne surrounded by snakes. God knew that, even if you didn't. That's why they had to leave. That's why they had to hurt you. You're building something bigger, something they can't be part of because their hands are too dirty. Don't waste time looking back. Don't waste breath asking why. Let them slither away and focus on the path forward. They didn't betray you. They freed you. They didn't break you. They built you. You ain't falling. You're just getting ready to fly. Listen close. They'll tell you to forgive and forget, to let bygones be bygones. But they only preach that to keep you tame. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what they did. It doesn't mean letting them back in. It means letting go so you can focus on the war ahead. There's a difference. Real forgiveness is knowing the past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Don't waste your energy hating them. That's just letting them live rent-free in your head. Instead, turn all that anger, all that hurt into fuel. Make it the reason you wake up early, the reason you push harder, the reason you refuse to quit. Make them regret ever doubting you. Make them regret thinking you'd stay down. Your success is the only revenge that matters. Make them eat their words with a silver spoon when they see how far you've come. You know what the real joke is? How they think you're still the same person who stumbled, the same one they laughed at, the same one who didn't know better. They see you standing, but don't realize how much you had to crawl first. How much you had to bleed just to learn how to walk again. It's almost comical, really, how they cling to that outdated image of you because it's easier than facing the truth. People fear change, especially when it means admitting they were wrong about you. They'd rather believe you're pretending, that it's all a phase, that any day now you'll come crashing back down to their level. But what they don't understand is that pain changes a person. It strips away all the weakness, all the naivety, all the hope that the world is kinder than it is. You died in that darkness, that version of you they knew. He's gone. The one that rose from those ashes, he's something else entirely, something stronger, something ruthless enough to survive. So let them laugh, let them mock. Their words are empty, powerless. They've already lost, and they don't even know it yet. And those who left you for dead, who vanished when you needed them most, they thought they were teaching you a lesson, thought that abandoning you would be enough to bury you. But what they did was strip away every illusion you had about loyalty, about friendship, about love. They taught you not to trust words, only actions, taught you to stop seeking validation in places that never held it in the first place. Their absence was the best gift they could have given you. See, loneliness ain't a curse, it's clarity. It forces you to face yourself, to confront every ugly truth, every scar, every flaw, without the noise of fake friends and fair weather allies. It's in that silence that you start to hear the voice that matters most, yours. And maybe, just maybe, that was God's plan all along. To strip you of every crutch, every distraction, every parasite feeding off your light until all that was left was the raw, unfiltered you. The you that doesn't break, doesn't bend, doesn't need anyone's permission to be great. The funny thing is, they think you forgot. They think that because you don't bring it up, because you don't throw it in their faces, that you've moved on. But you didn't forget. You remember every knife in your back, every sneer, every lie told with a smile. You remember how they watched you drown and did nothing, how they spread rumors instead of helping, how they prayed for your failure with the same lips they used to call you a friend. You didn't forget. You just learned not to waste your breath on explanations. You learned that sometimes silence is the loudest response, that walking away without a word is more powerful than 1,000 speeches. See, revenge isn't about making them hurt like you did. It's about making them watch you succeed, making them choke on the realization that every single thing they did to break you only built you higher. God doesn't sleep, and neither do his plans. There's a reckoning coming, not from you, but for you. All you have to do is keep moving forward. Keep building, keep surviving. They wanted to see you fall, but every step you take is proof that they failed. And don't fall for their apologies, the ones who return when the tide turns, with sad eyes and practiced words, claiming they've changed, claiming they're sorry. It's all a script. They don't regret what they did. They regret that it didn't finish you. If life went south again, they'd vanish just as fast. Forgiveness doesn't mean giving them a second chance to betray you. Forgiveness means learning the lesson and moving smarter, cutting the cancer out without looking back. Sometimes God removes people from your life because he heard conversations you didn't. Sometimes he lets them betray you because he knew they would have ruined you if they stayed. You don't need closure, don't need explanations, don't need an apology. You need discipline. You need focus. You need to keep building even when it feels like the world's against you. Because the truth is, if they were really for you, they would have never left. So stop waiting for them to understand, to clap, to come around. They won't. Build without them. Rise without them. Make them regret ever thinking you'd stay down. Ever notice how the storms in your life seem to hit harder than the ones others face? How it seems like you're constantly fighting, constantly struggling, constantly trying to catch a breath, while others coast by with half the effort It's not a coincidence. God doesn't waste battles on soldiers who aren't going anywhere. He doesn't let weak souls endure what you've endured. Every trial, every tear, every betrayal was a test. Not to show him what you're made of, but to show you. To prove that no amount of pain, no amount of loss, no amount of darkness could snuff out your fire. They wanted to see you fall, but what they didn't understand is that God doesn't build warriors out of comfort. He builds them out of chaos, out of nights spent alone, out of prayers whispered with shaking hands, out of wars that left scars too deep to hide. You weren't meant for mediocrity, weren't built to blend in, weren't saved from the pit just to stand in someone else's shadow. You were meant to lead, meant to blaze a path so bright it blinds everyone who ever doubted. You've got a destiny that demands every ounce of pain you've suffered. Don't waste it. And when the blessings start to pour in, when the tables finally turn, don't forget what it felt like at rock bottom. Don't forget how they looked at you, how they spoke to you, how they wrote you off without a second thought. Remember it. Burn it into your mind, not for revenge, but for perspective. Because the higher you climb, the lonelier it gets. The same mouths that curse you today will try to bless you tomorrow, will twist their stories to make it seem like they were with you all along. But you know better. You know who left and who stayed, who believed when it was all falling apart, and who only came around when the lights were back on. Let them talk. Let them smile. Let them act like they weren't praying for your downfall. Smile back. Nod. Be gracious, but never forget. God saw it all. He saw who crossed oceans for you and who couldn't even step over a puddle. He saw who was real and who was just waiting for an opportunity to take your place. He's keeping score even when you're not. So keep building, keep rising, keep proving them wrong without saying a word. Because every step you take is another nail in the coffin of their doubts, another slap in the face to everyone who said you'd never make it. They wanted to see you fall, but all they've done is give you a stage. So climb higher, fight harder, shine brighter. Make it so undeniable, so blindingly clear that even the ones who hate you most have to admit that God was with you all along. Make them watch, make them regret, make them choke on every word they ever said against you. Because the truth is, you're just getting started. And here's the real twist. The reason they want to see you fall so badly is that deep down, they know they can't reach where you're going. It's easier for them to try and drag you back down than to admit they don't have the strength to climb themselves. They see something in you that terrifies them. Resilience, grit, that unbreakable part of your soul that refuses to die no matter how many times life buries you. It makes them sick, makes them seethe with envy, because every breath you take is proof that they're not trying hard enough. They disguise their jealousy as criticism, their bitterness as concern, hoping you'll buy the lie and start doubting yourself. But don't. The louder they get, the more it proves you're doing something right. You don't hear whispers about people going nowhere. You only hear them about threats, about those who actually have a shot at breaking out of the cage. Everyone else is rotting in. They don't hate you because you're failing. They hate you because you're surviving. Because every step forward you take is a reminder that they gave up too soon. And the truth is, most of them wouldn't survive a day in your shoes. They talk a big game, pretend like they've been through storms, but storms don't break you if you've never left the porch. Real pain isn't a story you tell at parties, isn't a badge of honor you flash to look tough. Real pain is what you carry alone, what keeps you up at night, what makes your hands shake when you think about it too long. It's the kind that leaves scars nobody else can see, that makes you flinch at kindness, because you've learned the hard way that every hand reaching out usually wants something. They couldn't walk a mile with that kind of weight, couldn't last a day with the shadows that follow you. That's why they try so hard to tear you down, because watching you endure what would destroy them is a mirror they can't stand to look in. So let them talk. Let them pretend they understand your journey. The truth is, the only one who's been with you every step of the way is God. The only one who saw the nights you almost gave up, the prayers said with eyes swollen from crying, the battles fought behind closed doors. And he didn't bring you this far just to abandon you now. You ever notice how some people only reach out when they hear you're doing well? They vanish when you're drowning, but suddenly pop back up when you're learning how to swim. They come around with fake smiles and half-hearted questions, pretending like they care, but you can see it in their eyes. They're not happy for you. They're threatened. They can't stand the idea of you succeeding without them, can't bear to see you shine after they left you in the dark. And it's almost funny how they try to downplay your progress, how they twist their words to make it seem like you owe them something. They'll say they're proud of you, that they knew you could do it, but the truth bleeds through every syllable. They didn't believe in you. They believed in the version of you that needed them, the one they could control, the one that wasn't a threat to their fragile egos. But that version's dead, buried with the trust they shattered and the loyalty they trampled. You owe them nothing. Not a smile, not an explanation, not a single second of your time. Keep your circle small and your vision sharp. God doesn't send crowds to fulfill his promises. He sends storms to test if you're ready. And don't think the battles are over just because you've made it out of the last one alive. The higher you climb, the stronger the wind gets, the more enemies appear. Some of them you'll see coming. The obvious ones. The ones who never hid their hate. But the dangerous ones, they're the ones who smile to your face, who clap when you win, but whisper when you leave the room. You need discernment. Need to pray for eyes that see through masks and ears that hear what's not being said. Even Judas kissed Jesus before he betrayed him. Let that sink in. Betrayal never comes from strangers. It comes from the ones close enough to touch, close enough to know where to stick the knife, where it'll hurt most. But God saw that too. He knew who'd turn on you before you ever did, knew which paths would lead to dead ends, which hands would let go when you reached out. And he let it happen not to break you, but to teach you, to show you that the only foundation worth building on is him. People will switch sides, will rewrite history to paint themselves as heroes, will pretend like they were there all along. But God doesn't forget. The same ones who mocked Noah while he built the ark were the first to drown when the rain came. And when you start to question why it's taking so long, why the pain keeps coming, why every step forward feels like a fight, remember that the strongest warriors get the hardest battles, that the more valuable the mission, the more vicious the opposition. You're not facing all this for nothing. The enemy doesn't go to war for empty vessels. He goes to war for those carrying greatness. You weren't created to live in shadows, weren't built to blend in, weren't saved from the pit just to go back to the dirt. Every time they tried to bury you, they just planted a seed. And God's been watering it with every tear, every sleepless night, every prayer said when the walls were closing in. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep building even when your hands are bleeding, even when your heart's breaking, even when it feels like God's gone silent. Faith isn't about sunshine and rainbows. It's about believing in the dark what he told you in the light. It's about moving forward when everything in you is screaming to quit. It's about trusting that every closed door was for your protection, every delay for your preparation, every setback for your elevation. You were chosen for this, not because you're the smartest, the strongest, or the most qualified, but because you're the one who wouldn't quit, because you're the one who'd keep praying, keep fighting, keep getting back up no matter how many times life tried to put you down. They wanted to see you fall because they thought you were alone, but God was with you the whole time, in the shadows, in the silence, in the pain. He was building you when they were breaking you, preparing a table in the presence of your enemies, setting the stage for a comeback they won't see coming. So stop worrying about who's against you and focus on who's with you. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop wasting energy proving your worth to those who are blind to it. You've got a destiny that demands every ounce of focus, every breath, every step forward. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them wait for you to fall. They've already lost, because the God who pulled you out of the pit isn't done yet. This is just the beginning. So keep rising, keep fighting, keep praying. Make them choke on their laughter. Make them regret every word. Make them watch as God takes you places they'll never reach, because they wanted to see you fall. But God lifted you higher. And that, my friend, is the punchline they'll never see coming. And don't get it twisted. Just because you're still breathing doesn't mean the battles are over. The hardest part about surviving isn't the wounds, isn't the scars, isn't even the loneliness. It's the constant war in your own mind. The whispers that creep in when the lights go out. The doubts that echo every time you try to take a step forward. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're fighting alone. And maybe that's the point. Maybe God isolated you because he needed you to see that nobody else was coming to save you. That it's on you to get up, to fight back, to drag yourself out of the pit, even when your hands are raw and your knees are bleeding. That's what they don't understand. The ones who gave up, the ones who took the easy way out, the ones who live safe, small lives, never risking, never daring, never dreaming. They think you're stubborn, think you're too proud to ask for help. But the truth is, you learned the hard way that sometimes the only way out is through. And if that means dragging every demon that's been haunting you into the light, then so be it. Because you're done running, done hiding, done pretending that the battles didn't leave bruises. You're here, scarred but breathing. And that's enough to make every enemy you've got start shaking. You want to know why they can't stand to see you win? Why they flinch every time you get back up? Because your survival exposes their surrender. Your fight makes their excuses look paper thin, makes their comfort zones feel like cages, makes every lie they told themselves to justify quitting crumble into dust. You are living proof that pain isn't an excuse to stay down, that betrayal isn't a reason to stop trusting, that darkness isn't enough to kill the light inside. Every time you refuse to quit, you remind them that they could have fought harder, could have prayed longer, could have risen if they had half your courage. They hate you for that, for reminding them that the only thing standing between them and the life they want is the work they're too lazy to do, the discipline they're too weak to have, the sacrifices they're too selfish to make. That's why they want you to fail, because your success doesn't just expose their lies, it sets fire to them. And you don't even need to say a word. Just keep moving, keep rising, keep making them choke on the silence as they watch you climb higher than they ever dreamed. And let's talk about fear, the kind that keeps you up at night, that makes your hands shake when you try to take a step forward, the kind that whispers all your worst nightmares right when you think you've finally outrun them. Fear is a liar, a thief, a coward that hides in the shadows, hoping you'll never turn the light on. It's not a warning sign. It's a test to see if you'll keep moving even when your legs are trembling, if you'll keep believing even when God seems silent, if you'll keep fighting even when you can't see the enemy. Fear only has power if you let it sit in the driver's seat. You can feel it. Everyone does. But you don't bow to it. You don't let it hold the pen to your story. Every time you move despite the fear, every time you take a step forward with knees shaking and heart pounding, you weaken it. You take its power away. And that's what terrifies them. The ones who live their whole lives shackled by what-ifs and somedays. The ones who never dare to dream because failing would hurt too much, because the thought of trying and falling short is a nightmare they can't bear. They see you moving forward, see you breaking chains they accepted as part of life, and it makes them furious. They need you to fail, because if you don't, they'll have to face the truth that the chains were never locked to begin with. And let's not forget how they mocked your faith, how they rolled their eyes when you said you were praying, when you said you were trusting God to make a way. They laughed because faith is something they can't understand, because it's not logical, not predictable, not something you can measure or weigh. They don't get how you can keep believing when nothing seems to change, how you can keep praying when the silence feels endless, how you can keep trusting when every door slams in your face. But what they don't see is what's happening beneath the surface. They don't see the roots growing deeper every time you refuse to quit. Don't see the foundation being built every time you get back up. Don't see the storm that's clearing the way for the breakthrough that's coming. They think faith is weakness, that prayer is a crutch, that trusting God is an excuse not to act. But the truth is, faith is the hardest fight there is. The kind that demands you keep walking in the dark, keep building with bloody hands, keep moving forward, even when every step feels like sinking. Faith doesn't make things easy. It makes them possible. And the fact that you're still standing, still fighting, still believing, despite every reason not to, that's the real miracle. And when the tables finally turn, and they will, don't waste your breath explaining yourself. Don't waste your energy trying to prove to the ones who walked away, the ones who threw stones, the ones who laughed at your pain. Success is the loudest answer you'll ever need. When God elevates you, He makes sure it's in the presence of every enemy who said you'd never make it. That's why the process is taking so long, why the pain has been so deep, why the battles have been so brutal. Because the stage being built for you isn't a small one. It's one that demands every ounce of strength you've earned, every scar you carry, every lesson you've had to learn the hard way. God's not just preparing blessings. He's preparing a table right in front of those who prayed for your downfall. So stop worrying about the timeline. Stop stressing about the delays. Stop questioning if He's still with you. If you were finished, the attacks would have stopped by now. The fact that the battles keep coming is proof that the enemy sees what's ahead. Proof that the promise is too close to quit now. Keep moving. Keep fighting. Keep building, even when it feels pointless. Even when the silence gets deafening. even when it seems like God's forgotten your name. The darkest battles come right before dawn. The hardest hits come right before the breakthrough. The loudest silence comes right before God speaks. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to stop now. You didn't walk through fire to freeze in the cold. Every tear, every scar, every prayer said with trembling hands has been building towards this moment. They wanted to see you fall, but God's about to lift you higher than they ever dreamed. And when He does, don't look back. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't seek revenge. Just smile, keep walking, and let them choke on the view as they watch you rise.